So in today's episode of I Should Stay the Hell Off Marketplace, we acquired this pile of Chinesium and bolts and hardware. And some of you may know what this is, but let's get into it. Let's put all this stuff together and see what we got. I need one thing. Let's see. Pictures, words. Anyways, I'm assuming we're going to need hardware. Alright. Okay, I might want those pictures. Yeah. So in all seriousness, when doing a project like this, I find it helpful to lay all the similar bolts out. That way we know what we've got, how many we've got, and you're not searching through a pile of stuff looking for this one particular thing, especially when you have similar stuff. So, a little quick organization here. I'm already starting to line up and figure out where stuff goes. I got a general idea what this is supposed to look like when it's done. So, we'll make this kind of simple. And it's not super critical. Alright, we're mostly organized, close enough for who it's for. So, let's see. I could use a beer. Slide one coach bolt up each of the long side guide rails. This is pretty good Chinglish. Be in the top channel pointing upwards. Okie dokie. Well, long bars, you only have one option, so should be pretty self-explanatory. Boom, boom. The pictures on this kind of suck, I ain't gonna lie. But I got this secondhand in a marketplace deal. While we're assembling this, I guess I can kind of tell the story. So anybody that knows me knows that I wheel and deal on marketplace. Off and on. Found this, and the guy was wanting a certain cash price. I offered him a trade for, well, things that go bang. Things that make things go bang. And he actually bit the offer. So here I am assembling. Yeah, see, I don't like there's an odd number of these long nuts. It kind of concerns me. Anyways, I'm jumping ahead of myself. He ended up taking the offer on the deal, and I ended up with this. So I'm approximately 300 rounds of 9mm into this. I had just enough time basically to run down to Mount Vernon and back and make it to work on time. Which is why I didn't get a video or record anything about getting it last night. Because, yeah, I was kind of in a hurry. So this bar goes on here. Like such. Why does... Oh, okay, because it protrudes. That makes sense. I don't have enough room on the truck to build this. But we're going to try. I'm trying to exclusively work off of the truck now if I'm doing small projects. Reason being is I am wanting to get the service truck up and running and begin doing mobile service for people. So I'm trying to get used to the fact of I don't have a whole lot of room, and you make do with what you have. Which is, oh yeah, I'm starting to see how this goes together now. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense. However, I'm trying to get used to the fact that I don't always have an entire workshop at my disposal, which means I need to make do with what I have. And it's a good skill that pretty much everybody could use, just in general, is learning to make do with what you have. I'm pretty sure I got this ass backwards. Okay. So So these have to face the same way. I figured it was both point out, but it's not. They both face the same direction because this bar, whoops, slides through, yeah, like that. Okay. How about let's put these washers back on. So I'm making a concerted effort into. Can we go ahead and put nuts on those? We're gonna go ahead and put nuts on those. It's fine. We just won't torque anything down just yet. So the goal is taking what you have, making something of it, taking the cards you've been dealt and actually doing something with it instead of complaining about your situation, which is exactly why I have the service truck, because as much as I want to start a shop, I don't have the excess funds to fund buying a building and furnishing it and everything else that goes along with it. However, I did have a couple of paid-off Snap-on toolboxes that I was, again, on Marketplace, able to trade a guy, and I got this beautiful 42-year-old this year service truck. But it has everything I need. It's obviously a wreck right now because I'm shuffling tools back into it. But it's 4-wheel drive. It's 5-speed. You know, I can get back into farmers' fields and work on their equipment. So it serves plenty of purpose that I otherwise would have to struggle with. Therefore, I think these long nuts go on. Oh, you know, it'd probably help to just look at this. That's all you need right there, buddy. The pictures on this kind of suck, but like I said, I got it secondhand, so how much can you really complain? I might be missing some PC parts. I think there should be Rut-Row Raggy. Alright, as I'm getting closer, I'm starting to realize I am missing a piece. So I'm going to make sure that it's not in my possession. I'm pretty positive it's not. Alright. However, there's some aspects to this saw that I just don't seem to understand. Maybe I'm just lost here. Probably am, to be honest. But like that tie bar on the top, I really don't know what the purpose is for that. Seems a little counterintuitive, but I mean, it's adding some rigidity, sure, but I think I would have found a different way to do it, personally. That's why I'm not an engineer. I'm just a lowly tool and die maker. Now I've got extra hardware, so like this piece here, I don't see where it goes. But I'm missing this piece specifically. And this somehow gets mounted, but I'm not entirely sure how. So there's that. But I'm wondering if I couldn't. Wait a minute, is this my... No, there's no way that's the bottom clamp, because there's a little spacer that goes in. So something to note, because I am a nerd, an assembly nerd, and this is not going to be perfection. I would suggest, if you find yourself in the position of putting something like this together, or putting one of these together, start from one end. So I'm going to make these, again, I'm not fully tight, I want to bang this around a little bit. Start with this end being flush with this end being flush with this end. Then we know this is relatively square. There's a little pocket here that it sets in and locates in. Then everything else, we can take a tape measure and go, okay, square, square, square. Now, I'm using this on the longest bar that it is rated for, which is a 36-inch bar. We'll get to that in a minute. Which means that we should be able to go end for end. Now, because I am a nerd, I am going to go ahead and measure. Okay, we've got, what, 35 3/8, maybe a hair over. Make sure they're the same size. I assume they are. And they're pretty daggone close enough for government work. So we can just slide these out to the end, but if you were setting this up for something smaller, I would make sure that the distance from here to here and the distance from here to here on both ends of those arms are the same, or at least very close. Does it really matter? It's probably arguable that it does or doesn't. I, however, want to make sure that everything is square. The more square that this is, and the more perfect that this is, the more perfect your lumber is when you go to mill lumber, and the more perfect your lumber is, the easier it is to work with. So if you can do anything to save yourself some time down the road, okay, if I spend another 10-15 minutes here making this function correctly, then when I go to mill lumber, or I go to do anything else, I can save myself hours of time later once I'm using that lumber and everything is nice and happy and square with the world. So, like everything else, it's the foundation that makes the difference. Especially when dealing with cheaper stuff. You know, it's not going to be high tolerance, low tolerance, tight, you know, well-rounded things. We need to make sure that we're assembling properly, making sure everything's square. Take the time now to save the headache later. Okay, the good news is I pretty much figured this thing out. The bad news is I'm also missing a piece. So that kind of sucks. However, it's probably the easiest to replicate. So I'm just going to have to make a piece here for the clamp. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this is, and I haven't tightened anything down, it's just everything's in place, I'm pretty sure. This is a chainsaw mill for the chainsaw. So this will allow us to make our own lumber at cost. We've started some woodworking, and the biggest prohibitive factor of getting anything done is cost. I'm raising 3 kids, I'm blue collar, and we've made the social economical decision to make my wife more or less a stay-at-home. And money's just not in abundance, and that's okay. So if we want to build things, we need lumber. And lumber, the last project I did, 2 boards cost us $20 at the local Home Despotism. So I have chainsaws, I have trucks, I have log chains, I have everything else except for a sawmill. Well, this is to remedy that problem. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten these bolts down. I'm going to get some measurements. So the nice thing is I'm pretty sure these are metric. Take a look here. It's 1-inch tubing. It's literally nominal size, because, okay, this came from China. You know, you would think that this is all metric crap. That's 1-inch square tube. So all I need is a 7-inch stick, a 1-inch square tube. I don't really care about wall thickness. It really doesn't matter. I mean, this is pretty thin stuff, to be honest. If anybody has some 1-inch square tube that they want to sell, I mean, I should literally need 7 inches of it. Hit your boy up, because I can have this done today. I could even use nuts on the bottom. Now this one is welded. They welded the nuts on, which is kind of handy. And I can do that too, but for me to finish the project tonight, I just need that piece right there. Bolts on the other side. These clamp together, this clamps together. So I'm going to go ahead and zip these bolts all together, get it squared out, leveled out, measure it. And, yeah, hopefully we can find a piece and we'll fabricate that. Not critical. Well, and then I need a little bumper stop, but I can make that. I'm sure I've got material for that. You see it kind of comes down here as a pinch. Makes a pinch point, so. Back at it. So while we're talking about cheap tools, I know I said the walking juxtaposition. Hey, it's great that they threw that tool in there. As I use a ratchet, because I'm a snob and I want to move faster than a wrench does, and I have Cornwell sockets, albeit they're cheaper line, and I think I paid $3 or $4 for this stupid thing, this little polymer ratchet. It's plastic. The body of it's plastic. However, it's nice when you're working on something and you can also use it as a tool to beat on stuff, and it's not going to wreck the finish. I will say, I own Snap-on, I own Cornwell, I own everything, but like, I don't have any Koken, some of the other oddballs, but I own some of the best ratchets money can buy. This ratchet's the only one I've never had a warranty. Now, you can see, I beat this thing up for fun. I bought it as a joke, because, oh my god, a plastic ratchet. This has to be a joke. This thing cannot last. I've put pipes on it, I've hit it with a hammer, I've beat it, and honestly, listen to that. It's not bad. Yeah, it's a little hollow sounding, but I'm pretty sure they just come that way from the factory. It's junk. It's probably the cheapest ratchet you could buy, and the damn thing won't die. I can be a tool snob, and I've leaned out away from that in recent years, because a lot of the time, the cheap stuff, and take this as from somebody who uses tools for a living and then uses tools as a hobby. So I do both. I wrench on things as a hobby, I build things, I fix things, I do things. Let's just go ahead and cap this right now. It stops moving. But, you know, this is what I do professionally. As a journeyman tool and die maker, I twist wrenches quite a bit. And then I do this as a hobby too, and the cheapest thing known to man, yeah, guess what? It's probably the best tool I have as far as ratchets go. And I've got plenty of better options. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the most useful, it's going to be this thing. Because I can use it as a hammer to beat things into square or whatever. And guess what? I didn't just dent that bracket. If I'm working on high dollar stuff, guess what I'm going to grab? The thing that's not going to mar a finish or dent it. It's not all about how much money you can spend. It's how much things you can get done, build, create, fix, and do with the resources that you have. It's like the entire name of the game. If I'm able to do 3 times the work on 1/3 of the budget, great. I'm not saying I do, I'm just saying if it's possible, that's where we're going to end up at. So, we know that these are fairly square. Yeah, see, it just pushed that end out. See, this is what I'm going to fight on this. It's getting everything squared where I want it. Because I'm fickle about certain things. I want the fit and finish to be good. As good as it can be. I mean, yeah, we're not building Rolexes here, but I also don't want a cheap Casio from Walmart or Timex, or I don't know, I'm not a watch guy. The point is, I want to get the best possible result for the money that we put into it. Now, yeah, I traded a guy some ammo for this thing. I'm not really expecting much. But, yeah, see, this kind of sucks. I think they want you to use these long ones. But I like having a nylock washer there, or a nylock nut there. Now, real quick, we'll go ahead and measure this out, make sure we're at least remotely close to square. I don't want to look at it down the road and go, damn, I missed that. Oh, I messed that up, you know. I'll just take the time now. Oh, 16 5/8. We're not going to be truly. I'd like to get out further than that, but hey, 16 5/8. I'd say that's better than I expected, to be honest. So there's a guard, too, that's supposed to go on the top of this. I really don't care. We die like men. Well, guys, the camera kind of died out, and as you can see, we were fighting daylight getting that project finished up. We got it all bolted together, and in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and get it mounted onto the saw, and we will get some test cuts done with it. So I'm pretty excited with it. It actually seems to be a pretty good little piece. It's not the end-all be-all. I don't expect to be fully functional like a sawmill, But if I can use it to create some lumber, finish some projects, and maybe make just enough money that I can buy a legitimate sawmill, one way or another, I think it's a big step in the right direction. It fills a huge gap in our production capability when it comes to just building things. So I don't intend to be, a true, fully functioning sawmill, but I would like to make my own lumber to build things. I got a lot of things I want to build. I'd like to build a barn and all kinds of things once we buy some land. So, for the time being, I think this will turn out to be a really handy and helpful, useful tool. I appreciate you guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.